Acadia National Park is the easternmost national park in the United States. Most of Acadia is found in Mount Desert Island, the largest of Maine's islands. Covering an area of 280 square kilometers, it is one of the largest islands on the United States eastern coast, second only to Long Island, New York. The dense forests of Mount Desert Island are mostly composed of conifer trees. Trees commonly found growing here include spruces, pines, fir, cedar, and hemlock. Spruces, pines, and firs may look similar at first, but can be torn apart. One way to differentiate the three is by their needles. Pine needles grow in clusters, whereas spruce and fir needles grow individually. Spruce needles are sharp and square, which are easy to roll between the fingers, whereas fir needles are soft and flat, and they are not easy to roll between fingers. The forest is alive with many animals, from white-tailed deer to monarch butterflies. Many species of bird also live among the trees. The hairy woodpecker is a common species of woodpecker found throughout North America. They get their name from the white feathers on their back, which somewhat resemble hair. The forest floor of the forests are carpeted in a large diversity of moss, as well as fallen needles. Off the coast of Mount Desert Island's largest town, Bar Harbor, is an island where common milkweed grows in a meadow. Feeding on the pale purple flowers of the common milkweed can be found monarch butterflies, whose larvae, caterpillars, can only feed on milkweed plants. Among the milkweed plants can be found large leaved lupine, who have darker purple flowers than those of the milkweed, and sweet fern, which, contrary to its name, is not an actual fern, but instead a relative of laurels. These forests support a wide variety of fungi, evident by the many mushrooms that grow here. The cinnamon fern is a species of fern named after the cinnamon brown color of their fertile fronds. Partridge berry is a low-growing plant with somewhat round, deep green leaves and an edible round red berry. The Canadian bunchberry has clusters of red edible berries on its stalk, which grow from basal leaves. The American red squirrel can be seen among the conifer canopy. Yellow birch is a species of deciduous tree, sometimes found growing among the conifers of the island's forests. The rough hermit beetle is a shiny, brown-colored species of scarab beetle found on the forest floor. The ghost pipe is a small, parasitic plant with an easily identifiable whitish stem and somewhat bell-shaped flower. Due to a large fire in 1947, about 70,000 square kilometers on the eastern side of the island now have a more noticeable population of deciduous trees, whereas before there were primarily evergreen trees. Although Mount Desert Island is surrounded by salt water, it does have quite a lot of freshwater bodies. These range from streams and vernal pools scattered throughout the forests and slopes to large lakes and ponds. Jordan Pond is a large pond found south of the Bubbles, a geologic feature found on the eastern half of the island. Here, animals such as birds and frogs can be seen. Signs of beaver activity are also present. The common loon is a large species of waterfowl with a distinct black head, black and white checkered back and wings, and white underside and red eyes. They can reach lengths of 80 centimeters and can be found in both large freshwater and coastal saltwater bodies. The common merganser is a large waterfowl who dive to feed on fish. The green frog is a common type of true frog native to North America. The mole is a pond found in the southeastern portion of the island. Here, many fish, plants, and invertebrates can be found. Pickerel weed has purple flowers which surround the top of a single vertical stem. Common pipewort is an example of an emergent aquatic plant, being a plant with submerged roots, but with a stem that grows beyond the water's surface. Common pipewort has small white flowers on the end of their singular emergent stem. American white water lilies have large white flowers which grow along with floating circular green leaves. Mount Desert Island has a couple of mountains, the highest being Mount Cadillac at 466 meters above sea level. In between the mountains are random valleys. Generally speaking, the shores and mountains on Mount Desert Island are made of granite. Traveling higher in elevation, the sky becomes visible above the treetops. Here, the surface is often made of exposed bedrock and thin layers of soil from which plants grow. Wellbush blueberry are found across a lot of the more elevated areas of the island. They have sweet, edible, light blue-colored berries. Black huckleberry is a deciduous shrub with edible black berries. The dark-eyed junco is a species of junco found all across the North American continent. Though they vary in color based on where they are found, dark-eyed juncos here tend to have short pink beaks, gray or dark gray bodies, and white bellies. The yellow-rumped warbler is a species of warbler with yellow undersides, white circles around their eyes, whitish undersides, gray heads and backs, with a yellow patch above their beaks. Some have yellow coloring on their throats, while others have white coloring. Many species of lichen and moss, such as different types of reindeer lichen, can be found growing on the rocks, trees, and soils here. The trees here tend to be smaller in size than those found in lower elevations, as exposure to the wind and sea spray stunts their growth. Sometimes there are elevated areas of still fresh water, which causes a flourishing wetland community to grow, noticeable by the reeds which grow from the water. Traveling higher yet, the trees grow less densely, and more of the ground is exposed to sunlight. Here, many species of low-growing or small plants can be found. In places where there is some water in between the rocks, the common cotton grass can be found. The common cotton grass is actually a species of sedge, not grass. Grasses, sedges, and rushes are often confused with one another. One way to differentiate between the three is that sedge stems have edges, rush stems are round, and grass stems are jointed. Various species of oat grass, including the poverty oat grass, grow here. Whereas spruces would grow tall in the forest below, here they are gnarled and stunted, mostly due to exposure to the wind. Three-toothed cinquefoil is a low-growing herbaceous plant commonly seen growing on the subalpine summits of Mount Desert Island. Bearberry is a low-growing evergreen plant with round, edible red berries. Pineweed is a species of small flowering plant with small, yellow, five-petaled flowers. The crackling forest grasshopper is a species of grasshopper named after the loud crackling sound it makes when it flies. Fire cherry is a deciduous shrub with edible red berries with bitter seeds. The gray birch is a species of birch often found here in subalpine conditions and can be identified by its spade-shaped leaves with serrated edges. Green alder is a species of deciduous tree that can be found here growing stunted in subalpine mountain peaks and island. Common juniper is a species of low-growing conifers reaching heights of 1.5 meters. The pitch pine, like many other conifers up here, tend to not reach a total height. From the rocky and somewhat vegetated granite peaks and slopes of Mount Desert Island, the shoreline below can be seen. Just offshore can be seen dense mass of knotted wrack, a large species of brown algae found in the northern Atlantic. Swimming among the groves of knotted wrack are sand shrimp, a small, semi-translucent species of crustacean. The shoreline of Mount Desert Island is primarily rocky. Separating most, but not all, of the west and east side of the island is Somes Sound, which empties south into the Gulf of Maine. A coastal, though not aquatic species of plant found along these rocky beaches is the rugosa rose, a species of rose often seen growing on coastal sand dunes throughout the northern hemisphere. A coastal fog is very common in the mornings on the island. The great black-backed gull is the largest species of gull in the world. It has black wings and a yellow beak with a red dot close to the tip of the lower beak. The common tern is a species of shorebird often found darting along the water searching for fish. The difference between high and low tide, though not as great as that of Bay of Fundy to the north, can reach around 3.5 meters. During low tide, much of the otherwise submerged seaweeds are exposed. Common types of seaweed here include both knotted wrack and bladder wrack, which is air-filled bladders which keep its fronds afloat. The dense mats of brown algae are host to a large variety of living and once-living things. The Atlantic jackknife is a species of bivalve, a mollusk, which is named for its shape and sharp edges. The large difference between tides also causes pools of water to form in crevices where, in low tide, salt water is unable to drain into the sea until high tide comes again. These areas in the intertidal zone are called tide pools. The green sea urchin is an urchin species native to the northern Atlantic and northern Pacific, and grows to be 5 centimeters wide. The northern acorn barnacle is a species of crustacean which, as adults, are sessile, meaning they do not move around. The European green crab is a species of green crab which, native to Europe and northern Africa, is invasive to other temperate coastlines. The European green crab isn't always green as its name would suggest. Sometimes they grow reddish or orangish color. The common periwinkle is a small species of sea snail native to the European coast but invasive to the North American Atlantic coast. Though the coastline of Mount Desert Island is mostly rocky, there are a few sandy beaches. The waters off the coast of Mount Desert Island are usually 10 to 15 degrees Celsius. On the shores of some smaller islands off the coast of Mount Desert Island are seals and shorebirds. The harbor seal is a common species of seal found in the northern Atlantic and northeastern Pacific coast and can weigh up to 130 kilograms. The gray seal is a species of seal found in the northern Atlantic and can weigh up to 400 kilograms. Gray seals, growing up to 3 meters, are larger than harbor seals, which get to be 1.8 meters long. Gray seals tend to have longer snouts compared to those of harbor seals. Offshore, along the coast of Maine, are rocky outcroppings where colonies of double-crested cormorants can be seen nesting. The bones of double-crested cormorants are almost solid, whereas those of most birds are mostly hollow. Their dense bones help double-crested cormorants dive better, which is useful for them while catching fish. Double-crested cormorants colonies can contain up to around 4,000 individuals. The surface of the rocky island where the colonies are found are sometimes coated in white scat. The black guillemot is a small species of seabird with a summertime plumage black with some white on their wings. Their winter plumage tends to be whiter than their summer plumage. They can hold their breaths for up to about 2 minutes. Mount Desert Island has a human population of over 2,000. It is a fact, in many aspects of the environment today, that humans have an impact, as us, humans, live in the natural world, whether we realize it or not. Being an island, many people on the Mount Desert Island live off the sea. They use large fish farms such as these, or fish for lobsters using lobster traps, whose buoys can be seen floating on the surface to mark their location. Tourism also has a big impact on an island, as being a national park, many people travel to visit here. Mount Desert Island shows that, with thought and effort, people and nature can coexist. And that is an important lesson for all of us living here on Earth today. The end. Thank you for watching.